I have a live caller that could not be in the studio today, and he is a wonderful gentleman. I have a beautiful sign here saying honoring all who served in his memory. And I'm going to put the headphones on for those of you on Facebook. And for those of you live, I want to welcome George Buck. George, are you there?
Yes, I am. How are you, Lynn?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for calling in, even if you couldn't be in studio today. So I appreciate you making that go right.
No worries. Happy to be here.
Great. So the reason that I am going to be seeing George in a couple of days, and we're going to be at a very special 4th annual Purple Heart Day banquet, which is hosted by the Citizens Commission on Human Rights Florida. It's an amazing banquet. George was there last year. George, did you have fun at this banquet last year?
Oh, I had a blast. What an honor to be there. Everybody was just recognizing all of the veterans that have Purple Hearts, and not even Purple Hearts, just all who served, in combat and non-combat operations.
Yeah, and it was really nice. And every year, as events will go, more and more people come from different of the armed services and different. It's actually getting harder and harder to get a seat.
Yes, it is.
And
food is great.
The food is great. That's right. It'll commemorate the courage and sacrifice of Purple Heart recipients, all veterans and their families. 5 p.m. Saturday, August 3rd at the historic Fort Harrison, and that's on Fort Harrison Avenue in Clearwater. Now, here's the thing. You definitely do need to be on the RSVP a list of attendees. So if anyone does want to go, please contact me, lposyton@gmail.com, and we will hook it up. But if you are a patriotic sort and you want to understand, the speakers are amazing. It will be, like George said, a delicious dinner, but great speakers and all about veterans and serving the services for veterans. Now, George, I want to let you talk for a minute about your amazing service to our country. Can you give everyone a little synopsis of that, and then we'll go into what you're doing currently?
Sure. After high school, I went to college for 2 years, and then I joined the Army, became a member of the elite unit of the 101st Airborne Division, and currently I serve as president of the 101st Airborne Association, and we raise money to give service members, families, college educations through a college application process, and it's a great cause, and you can always go on to screamingeagles.org. My unit, the Screaming Eagles, is, if you remember the television show, the HBO show called Band of Brothers, that was us.
Definitely.
I was too young, fortunately. But we have a conference that I help run every year in February, and we still have members from World War II. Most of the members right now are from Vietnam, and we have some Persian Gulf veterans, including myself, along with Afghanistan and Iraq.
No kidding. Now, I don't mean to be silly, but when you said Screaming Eagles, were you leaving the G off on purpose? Or when they go to look it up, is it Screaming Eagles or is it Screamin'?
Screaming.
Screaming, okay. See, you can tell you're from up north like me. I leave the G off all the time. Screaming Eagles.
Yeah, it's screamingeagle.org.
Excellent.
Yeah, and great place to donate, and all the money goes right back to the soldiers and their families.
That's great. Hey, so I want to go into a little detail because the Purple Heart. So why don't you give your just a quick explanation to people what the Order of the Purple Heart is?
Well, during the American Revolution, George Washington, when he saw wounded revolutionary soldiers, who were all volunteers at the time, who were wounded, he tied a purple cloth on them to represent, that they were wounded in combat and their sacrifice to the country, alive or unfortunately who have passed. And then back in the 30s, because World War I didn't even have a Order of the Purple Heart. Mm-hmm. So back in the 30s, the Order of the Purple Heart came to an existence, and now we know we have license plates in the state of Florida that express the combat wounded Purple Heart.
Right, and we also have stretches of roads, right? That
Yeah.
a highway or something
dedicated to individuals.
Yeah.
Some people receive it posthumously, and some receive it, just from wounds that they received and came home.
Yeah. Now, my dad, you wouldn't know this because we know each other lightly, but my dad was in the Korean War, and he received 2 Purple Hearts. The first one, he really probably should have been sent home, but he didn't go home. And then that second one was pretty bad. It was when I read the commendation, am I saying the right word? When I read the commendation, and they describe how he, went in during an ambush and pulled guys out. He didn't even know that shrapnel had hit his head. So he had one of the very first bone plate operations, which was very experimental at the time, where they chipped his hip off and used that to patch up his head. So I know what the Purple Heart is, and I'm always honored to go to this event.
Yes, I have 2 grandparents that received the Purple Order with the Purple Heart. One stormed Normandy, and the other one was lost battalion.
No kidding.